Well, hello, this is Peter Combs from Bitamount.com and P.L. Combs Asian Art and Bitamount Live here in Gloucester, Massachusetts. And today is April 28, 2021. In this video, we're going to do a preview of two sales that are coming up on May 13th. One is in the morning, one is in the afternoon at Bonhams in London. Two very, very nice sales. You may recall a couple of weeks ago, we did the video on the Roger Cavern sale that's coming up, the famous dealer who's retiring from having an open shop and closing out his gallery and whatnot and selling off a lot of his inventory. And I suspect some personal things as well. It's two auctions being broken up, one in May and then another one, I believe, in June. Big sales. What's amazing about those two sales is they're being done unreserved and they have incredibly low estimates to encourage activity, and it's going to do very, very well, I'm sure. All right, but in this sale, we're going to talk about two particular auctions, and they're on the Bitamount site right now. The catalogs, if you want to come back and refer to them after they disappear off of the Bonham site, you come over to the Bitamount.com site and click the black box on the right side. Find catalogs and books, brings you over here, and they're here in the top row. They'll move down. You can always find things, by the way, on here just by typing in the name of the auction house or the name of the auction or something like that, and it'll pull it up for you. All right, because right now there's 658 catalogs on here. All right, now let's take a look at what they're selling. This is just being called the H collection. It's sort of mysterious. I'm sure that this fellow bought things from dealers. They certainly know who he is, but for his own privacy, I suspect they're just leaving it at that. They do show some wonderful scenes in the catalog of his home and how the furniture and the objects looked in there. This collection was primarily accumulated based on what I saw in the provenances during the 1980s and 90s. And then he seems to have taken a little hiatus and come back and bought quite a few things around 2015 and 16 at auctions and other places. But at any rate, it's really great stuff. And as we've seen also in the last couple of years, the sudden rise, the sudden explosion in interest in Chinese furniture. Serious Chinese furniture collectors have been buying this stuff for years and years, and now the porcelain is sort of hit its zenith in many ways, and they're looking at other areas. And the next area that seems to be coming on very strong is furniture, incredibly strong. And this sale has some dandy pieces in it. All right, so let's take a look and see where it all starts. This is the catalog from the man's house. It looks like it was taken outside of his property. It's absolutely lovely. And let's push that back a little bit. And we're going to get over and we're going to get to the first lot, which is a fascinating bronze. Like as I said a minute ago, the sale is predominantly going to be, the meat of the sale is predominantly bronzes and furniture, and early bronzes like this absolutely great late Shang dynasty U form bronze. We've seen these before, but this one is of really exceptional quality. And what's interesting about it is a long list of provenance, previous owners, going back. Mr. Sackler owned this for a while with the famous Sackler galleries, and then Stephen Jungkook owned it for a while, and then it went to auction, and they're all listed up here in the corner. And it also was owned by Shang Chun, who was a dealer in the 1930s and 40s, who sold it to Sackler, presumably, and then Stephen Jungkook bought it from him, and then it was sold at Christie's in 1995, and then it is now being offered here again, and here it is. The estimate is quite reasonable, 60 to 80,000 pounds. This is a particularly fine example because of the shape is so good. And the patina is so good. The patina looks almost like it was painted on. It's just so smooth, so even, so perfect, and very deep, that beautiful, beautiful color ranging from a light green, almost celery green, all the way to a very dark, almost pine green in places. And just beautiful, and the rim looks like it's in good shape. They're always a bit corroded because it's an edge. Edges of things tend to get corroded, but still a heck of a bronze, and we'll see how it does in this sale. It's an absolutely splendid example. And I'm not going to go through everything in the sale because I'd be here for all day, and you all have more to do than listen to me, so we'll just keep going. All right, now, and then on to this, a really rare pair of Huanhuali side tables, and with a lower shelf. And this is an interesting feature of Ming furniture. These tables with lower shelves were first depicted, from what I understand, during the Song dynasty, and then they remained in popular use. One of the things that these tables have that's rather interesting is that they have these support arms under the corners. And you see them on Ming tables, but often these little tables with two tiers on them would have a stretcher running across the side here. And by switching over and using these these beast arms, sometimes they're called, or monster arms. There's some crazy name they have for them. It gives the piece a lighter look, makes it seem more airy. And this table has particularly interesting provenance. If you bother to check it out, if you know who it is, it had belonged to Jean-Pierre Dubosc. And if you don't know who Jean-Pierre Dubosc is, you know who his father-in-law was. C.T. Liu, the famous dealer who was operating in China and France for decades, and then eventually he opened up a place in New York City, and I think it was there until the 1950s, late 50s, 1957, 57, I think. At any rate, C.T. Liu had, of course, an amazing eye. He's a rather colorful character, to put it that way. Some people viewed him as somebody who stole relics out of China. Other people say he saved relics in China because of the turmoil that was going on. And many people say, had he not done this, a lot of the art that's around today would not be around today because of his efforts to bring things out of the country. Yeah, he did it to make a buck too, but that's okay. All right, now these tables are absolutely elegant. They're estimated at 80 to 120,000 pounds. The wood color, the Huanhua Li wood color on the tops in particular, is just beautiful, beautifully done. And like I said, the estimate is 80 to 120,000. And then moving along over to, I have to type these in because I have to get through the catalog. There we go. Is this another absolutely splendid late Shang dynasty U-form bronze. And this is sort of a big one. It's about, how big is this? This one is something like 10 inches in diameter. A lot of these are a bit smaller than that. There's 6 or 7 or so inches in width. This is a fairly big one, and it's quite tall. It's got a rather high foot on it. And this one was bought by this collector from the Kaikodu Gallery. And if you don't know who they are, you should. They have been around for a long time. This is their gallery. This is, they don't need a plug from me, believe me. It's run by the Rogers, Mr. and Mrs. Rogers. He had been a lecturer and professor at in a university in Tokyo on Chinese art history. He was a friend of James Cahill's. All kinds of old connections going back a long time. And his wife is a lecturer. They're both alive. Their gallery is still fine and running. It's now in Hawaii. Smart people. They moved there during the pandemic, I guess. At any rate, I don't blame them. And but they were both extreme authorities on art and Chinese art in particular, and Japanese art and culture. And they decided to open a gallery that started in New York City. They had a couple of locations there in townhouses. They had to think about renovating townhouses. And on the Upper East Side in the mid-'90s. And then last year, in 2020, they moved to Hawaii and opened up. They do not share a picture of what their house looks like there, but if you want to know who Kokkaido is and you're interested in making a great connection, this is a list of museums and public institutions that they've done business with. All right, and when you have a list like this, you handle really, really great stuff. And this is a big chunk of the provenance behind that fabulous bronze, and here it is. All right, that was just a little diversion because they've made such huge contributions to the Asian art world for people who are real fans, especially among people who collect paintings and bronzes and things like this. Anyway, this is the bronze. And it had been sold at Christie's back in 2004 and bought by the present owner. It is estimated at 70 to 120,000 euros, or pounds rather, and I suspect it will have no trouble reaching that. These are pretty rare, this form, and the patina on this is very, very good. When you go through these bronzes, when we go through some more of these bronzes, you're going to see that this collector had a very interesting eye for patinas, and there's a lot of continuity in how they look. As you go through, and this is a very nice detail of the bronze itself. Absolutely superb patina, absolutely superb. Now let's see here. I want to see if they show some interiors. Here, one of these. Every so many pages they show the inside of their house. There it is. This is one of the bedrooms in the house, probably the master bedroom. Beautiful, beautiful room. And as you can see, it's a very modern home, but they've got it decorated with Chinese furniture. And according to the write-up on this sale, this fellow, they used all this furniture. It wasn't sitting somewhere, in a taped-off area in the house. This was furniture they sat in, furniture they put things on. This is furniture they lived with. And I'm so pleased to hear that. Really am. Just because furniture should be used. All right, and then you get over to this. This is the let's see. This is the day bed. An absolutely fabulous, a very, very rare Hanwali rectangular day bed. They call them Taz. And this one is a simple one. It doesn't have a frame on it. It's like a Recamier. It's estimated at 700,000 to 1 million pounds. UK. It came from Ming Furniture Limited in New York in 1991, and had belonged to David Uttenberg. It was sold at Sotheby's in 2016, where this fellow picked it up. But these are highly desirable. These were pieces of furniture that were often placed in scholars' studios, where he could rest and relax and enjoy the world around him without interruption. A place to withdraw, as they say, into his own little thoughts. And these were considered essential accoutrements for a well furnished scholars' studio. And we'll see how that goes. It should do very, very well. They do provide an awful lot of images of it, which is great. And you can study the underside of it, the stretchers, and of course it's in Chinese as well as English. But there's a significant write-up on it and other collections that hold these and how they compare. So if you're getting interested in Chinese furniture, read every word in this story. Read every single word. It's well worth it. All right, now let's mosey on over to... There we go. A very nice pair of yoke-back armchairs, also Hanwali. And these are absolutely sumptuous. And what's so interesting about them is that these are late Ming Dynasty chairs, late 17th century, 1600 to 1620. But what's beautiful about them is when they showed this picture, and I'm so glad they did. They showed profiles of these chairs to show you how they did, how curvilinear they could be, how the serpentine arms, the shaping of it. It's all just so elegant. It's also late Ming. It's just beautiful. And it's funny because at this time the porcelain production there and other arts were suffering terribly, but fine furniture was doing very, very well in China during the late Ming period. The imperial orders for porcelain and things like that were declining, but for some reason they kept making absolutely beautiful wood. And there's a significant write-up on this pair of chairs, but the shaping of them, the profile of them, the way the bases are done, all of it as a total compendium is just really quite excellent. It really is. And the estimate is reflective of that, though it may do a bit better. They may do a bit better than the estimate. As we've seen in the other sales, the estimates in some of the past furniture auctions have meant absolutely nothing. They've gone anywhere from 2 to 15 times over the high estimates. And then we have another U. This is a wine vessel with lid. These were made in the Eastern Zhou, Western Zhou period. They made them in a variety of shapes and sizes all along this line, sort of. Some were a little taller than others, some were a little wider, and so forth. But this one has a beautiful, beautiful surface, and has also extensive provenance going back to owners. Was it Major General? Was this Sir Neil Malcolm? Oh, that's right. They have a whole story on him at the beginning of this. There he is. That's Sir Neil Malcolm, and Mr. H somehow acquired them from this family. I think probably at an auction, Christie's, New York, 1997. It looks like. But at any rate, there's the wine vessel. This is a beautiful example. And again, you see that beautiful green coming through, lots of great detail. And the picture they show at the beginning of this gives you a really good look at an authentic bronze patina. These are the pictures that you should really be studying, because the Chinese have become, they're so adept at creating creating patinas on fairly modern pieces. They've been doing it for centuries, but during the early 20th century, they became very, very proficient at it. In particular, they took castings from actual pieces and replicated them from old pieces, and then patinated them. And they were many of them ended up in major collections and museums that later had to be removed. But this is what the patina should look like. And if you're really truly interested in bronzes, you want to study these surfaces, study the patinas, study the shapes and forms, and so forth. And there's a lot of good books out there. There's a lot of good collections on them where you can do the studying. This bronze is estimated at 120 to 150,000 pounds, but just a splendid looking bronze. And then hopping along over here, there are a bunch of very nice gilt splash. If you're a gilt splash bronze buyer, Ming bronzes, there are a slew of them in this auction. Also, quite a few nice looking brush pots, and these are not crazily overpriced. They're not crazily estimated, and they're quite good. Let's see here. This one here on the left is estimated at 4,000 to 6,000 pounds. It is a Qing dynasty example, probably in the first half of the 19th century. And then you have this nice Ming one. This is quite an unusual one. Nice low form, 17th or early 18th century. When you start to see them a bit more compressed like this rather than up high, they tend to be more often early Qing pieces. But that's a beautiful, beautiful example, and it goes on and on. But one of the things I skipped over, and I want to get back to it here for a minute, is this beautiful, this is a pair of chests. They're made of fruit wood, Huanhuali, and burl wood with variegated front panels and burl. Right here, you see the burl right here and here. These are absolutely elegant. Burl wood, as you know, has that beautiful glow when light is hit it. If it's oiled just slightly, it becomes very, very three-dimensional, and was a wonderful, wonderful product, a type of wood to use on cabinets. And these are estimated at $120,000 to $150,000, and these are nice size too. They're let's see, they're 44 inches tall, so about 3 feet tall. A little over 3 feet tall, but absolutely beautiful, and it looks like they probably have their original hardware and so on and so forth. So if you're looking for a really great pair of cabinets to put in a room in your house, check those out. Okay, now all right, there we go. Another bronze. This is a ritual tripod vessel. It's a ding, which is the tip, 3-footed bronzes. But again, you see this beautiful surface coming up. It's estimated at 70 to 120,000 pounds, and it had all kinds of interesting previous ownership to it. There it is. You have that beautiful pine tree green at the bottom, bluish green, and then these beautiful shades of greens and so forth up here. The rim is in nice shape. It's got a couple of little bumps in it, which you expect on these, and then these sort of shortened handles, which are quite attractive on here proportionally. And the ownership history on it is quite interesting. It had been in the Guggenheim collection, and then it was sold in 1963 at London by Sotheby's, and then the Alan Hartman Gallery in New York sold it. Another great gallery that's been around for many, many years, for decades. It's run by Alan Hartman. It was started by his father was a dealer, and they run the company Rare Art in New York now, which is a great place. Alan Hartman and Simone Hartman were the people that had the twin hardbook cover catalogs a few years ago, well, longer than a few, probably 10 or 15 years ago now, where they sold part of their jade collection. It was just part of it. And I think in total the stuff brought about $25 or $30 million, and half of it didn't sell because the reserves were pretty strong on that sale. But the stuff that did sell was amazing, and the stuff that didn't sell was amazing. I think they just went a little overboard with their estimates, but that's okay. At any rate, it was sold by Alan Hartman, and then it was sold to Sotheby's. Sold it in 1997. It was lot number 2, and this fellow apparently bought it then in 1997. And this is what I was saying earlier. It looked like he had these buying periods where he bought a lot, and this was one of them. And this is what he chose to buy this day. Just absolutely great bronze. And as I said, 70 to 120,000 pound estimate. And I think they have some more detailed shots of it. Yeah, here they do on the back. There's also a lot more written on it. So if you want to go and read up on this bronze, its uses, its historical significance, its antecedents, and so forth, it's all in there, and you can pick up quite a bit of information that way. You really, really can. And then last, I think this is the last one in this catalog, is the screen, and it's a screen done by one of my favorite artists, Anonymous. Nobody knows who did this. It's either late Momoyama period or early Edo period. Very, very late Momoyama probably, but an absolutely great sun. And it's called Sunset over Musashi and Musashi Plain. And in this particular genre of painting, with the moon rising here, sometimes it's done with the sun rising over this plain. There's a whole long story about it. This is an area not far from Tokyo, which then was, back in the old days, was called Edo, and this is a very specific style of painting. The estimate is 60,000 to 80,000 pounds, and it's absolutely splendid. It was probably done late 16th or very early 17th century. But beautifully done, beautiful, beautiful piece. All right, and now we're going to take a look at exceptional textiles curated by Linda Wigglesworth and Chinese art. This is also on the same day. The first sale starts at 10:30 in the morning in London, British Standard Time, as they say here, BST. And then the second sale will start at 2 in the afternoon. So you get to have your auction in the morning, go have a nice lunch, and hurry back and get ready for part 2. And this is the sale. A very, very nice catalog they did. They use an imperial Qinlong silk on the cover. Why not? And it's absolutely a great little catalog, and there's some very interesting pieces in here. Not in the millions of dollars, just very interesting, and I think somewhat underestimated. One of them is this absolutely fantastic late Yuan or early Ming guardian mask. It's about 5 inches tall, beautifully done, beautiful, beautiful expression. And these were used to, these masks were put on figures and used to protect stupas, and they'd pair them and put them outside of important Buddhist temples and so forth. And he was there to protect it and keep away evil, as they say. And this is estimated at 15 to 20,000 pounds. Now, I know it's a lot. 15, 20,000 pounds. They're not giving anything away with that estimate. But I think this is absolutely a gem of a bronze. And there's a similar example here on a bronze on the lower left-hand side of the screen of one that's in the British Museum. But I think the face on this one looks a little better to me. It looks a little stronger. I like the whiskers with the curls on the bottom and so forth. Absolutely great little bronze. And we'll chase along and see how that did once this sale is over. And then moseying over to this is if you're a transitional period porcelain collector, pay attention. This is an absolutely wonderful Shunxi period, transitional period vase with an elongated neck. The shape on it is very, very unusual, and it is inscribed. All right, and it's got Hua on the cover with his spotted deer, and there's a poem on the back of it, and there's a whole lot going on here. But the color on this vase, the colors are just absolutely splendid. They have this very light, misty blue up here in the sky, the way the clouds are drawn, these beautiful, vibrant colors of the flowers, and then the figure with the soft green silk robes on with light blue liners. And here you have this beautiful deer, and then more a little rocky outcropping and so forth. And you notice how that foot is just so, it's vertically, slightly outwardly trimmed. Absolutely lovely, lovely vase. And it is very good size. This vase is 15 inches tall. Optically, when you first look at this, it looks like it's one of those 7 or 8 inch vases proportionally. This isn't. This is a 15-inch vase. It's a whopper. Estimated 35 to 45,000 pounds. But absolutely rare as all get out. Just a rare, rare, rare thing. And then over here to this Kangxi dragon dish. I love this. And I don't know, the estimate seems awfully reasonable. It's not even a dish, actually. It's a charger. It's 14 inches in diameter, but beautifully decorated. Absolutely beautifully decorated. And this is one of these cases where the effective use of negative space, where they went about it where when they did what they painted in was beautifully done, superb, almost gem-like. The color selection was outstanding. This turquoise blue up here, the very, very, very fine scales, and the details on the ribbing and the outer edges of the dragon itself, including its tail. And here it is. The flaming pearl is swirling down towards him. His eyes are on it. And he's got the 4-clawed dragon, all right, which makes it even a little bit more interesting. And then you have this beautiful, soft, white but very, very white glaze running around it. But the negative space, it's like a portrait. It's absolutely great, and I don't think the estimate is crazy at all. 12 to 15,000 pounds. If that piece is in pristine shape and has never been restored, and you like Chinese paintings and you like Chinese porcelain, go for that. Go for that, and try to find another one. All right. I was trying to think of one. They may have mentioned one here at the top. The complete. Yeah, the Palace Museum. Apparently, they have one, and a similar striding, pursuing the flaming pearl decorated Kangxi, which was sold at Sotheby's in 2013. I don't remember that. I don't remember that. But somewhat similar, they said of the depiction of the dragon was the same. But I don't remember one with this kind of negative space running around it in this quality from anywhere. I really don't. It's absolutely great. And like I said, the estimate is 12 to 15,000 pounds, and I don't think that's a crazy price at all. I think that's fine. All right. And then over here to this, another terrific Kangxi-looking jar. Very much Ming influence. This beautiful yellow pot. It's around 10 or so inches, 9 3/4 inches tall, which is sort of the right size for these. But the shaping of this pot is absolutely lovely. It's got this nicely done incised dragon running through it, and the background is just loaded with imagery. Sometimes when they did these incised dragon pieces, and then they would decorate them and coat them with glaze to highlight the outlining, they weren't quite so developed. This one is very, very developed all around with a lappet base, and you have all this land mass under it, all this real estate under them of rocks and so forth, and then the clouds and business coming out of the sky, and then precious objects it looks like running around the mouth, and these giant ruyi heads running around the shoulder. Absolutely great looking thing. Estimated at 20 to 30,000. It's got some previous ownership history. It belonged to the former ambassador of Hungary to the U.S. That's interesting. And that's it. Nice looking pot. And I don't think the price is crazy. And I love the color. I think the color is absolutely lovely. All right. Now let's skip over to this page here. The vase on the right. Absolutely great Yongshan period Lang Yao. They call it an olive stone vase, the shape and so forth. But the potting on this vase is absolutely stupendous. The potting is so fine. It's very much like Yongshan period potting. Beautifully done. I think they've just dated it to the early 18th century, so they're probably suspecting it is the Yongshan period, and they think that it may have done under the supervision of Zhang Yixuan or Lang Tingli, and they were the kiln supervisors for the court and did this. Absolutely beautiful, but the equal coating of the glaze all the way down to this beautifully finished foot is really terrific. Very, very, very excellent. And it's estimated at 20 to 30. Everything's estimated. It seems like 20 to 30,000 pounds. I don't know why, but I don't think that's a bad estimate. I think it's a perfectly reasonable estimate. And then we'll skip over here to the next lot. There's only a few left, so stick around. Hold on a second. Is this a pair of Cornelis Pronk urns done around 1740? He, of course, was the European designer who, for a short time, designed porcelains for the European market, and he was particularly known for the parasol ladies and that kind of thing, which were produced for a few years, but not for a long time. And he also did vases like this, and these are very, very nice. They're about 13 or so inches tall. They're all around that size, but beautifully decorated, very obviously very European in shape, but very Chinese in decoration. And these are estimated at 8 to 12,000 pounds, and they look spectacular on your mantle. So if you like them, go after them, because these don't turn up all that often, because they didn't make that many. They were only in production for a couple of years. All right, but it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And then for the Guangzhu buyer out there, check this plate up here on the right out. Giant dragon. It's a dragon and phoenix dish. The phoenixes are running around the outside of it, but this thing is enormous. It's 20 inches in diameter. It is Marcan period and absolutely splendidly drawn with all the Buddha symbolism around the outside. See if we can get this thing to stay in a bit. There we go. There we go. There we are. With the Buddhist knot and the wheel and so forth, the conch and so forth. Absolutely great. There's a nice write-up on this vase, on this dish at the bottom. But notice the quality of the iron red of the dragons. Absolutely great. Those beautiful 5-clawed dragons with one pearl in the center. Very classic looking design. And the estimate on that is also 20 to 30,000 pounds. I'm on a roll with that number for some reason. It doesn't mean the reserves are all at that number. That's just what the estimate is. You probably have a little wiggle room in there somewhere. And then over here to this, the Linda Wigglesworth silk. What she did here was really interesting. These screens with the wood frames with the silks in them like this. This is one that's in the Palace Museum in Beijing. And here's another one that's also in the Palace Museum, Beijing. And what she has in this sale, what she's brought forward, is one that apparently was never in a screen. It was woven and so forth, probably in Suzhou, where they did a lot of the imperial silk work. And it's this, and this is very cool. It's the complete landscape scene, all connected together without the wooden frame. And I think that is just a heck of an image. And the quality of the work here is truly superb. Just really, really, really superb. With the figures all over these beautifully done Fu lions and phoenixes. Lots going on that you don't notice until you look. Another Fu lion scampering along over here. Another immortal maiden coming in one of those log boats with the vases and a canopy and so forth. Just all kinds of activity going on all over this piece. And there's a great big proud Fu lion there, a great big one attending to a lady and so forth. And this is very, very elegant stuff, absolutely fabulous. And the estimate on this is, hold on, we got to go back. There we go. 100 to 150,000 pounds. And there's a great deal written up about it, and it's absolutely fascinating. Absolutely fascinating about these silks. And then onto this is an apricot ground silk robe, Qinlong to early Jiajing period, according to the write-up here. And it's an apricot. An apricot is one of the 5 imperial yellows. It's not. It's considered to be part of that class of yellows that was worn by officials, heir apparents, important court figures, and so forth. And this is a stunning example, and it appears to be in outstanding condition. And the quality of the work, you have the dragons, and here you have 2 of the dragons clutching the pearl and so forth, which is unusual. And usually you only see the pearl being clutched by the dragons if the piece is belonging to somebody very important. Anyway, and this one, she calls it an heir apparent robe. In other words, somebody very high up the old imperial food chain at the time this was woven. But the quality of the work is just splendid, and it's estimated at 60 to 80,000 pounds, and that may go over that. That's an awfully attractive robe. Beautiful colors, beautiful condition, and part of a very important history of Chinese culture. There's no other way to get around it. All right, and then lastly is this. It's a yellow satin embroidered chuba, Yongchen period, Yongchen silk that was woven in Tibet. And they would send silks to Tibet for the important figures there, and they would weave them in a different way to make robes than they did them in China. As you can see, the sleeves are quite different. They would fill in parts of the robe here. You see there's some blank silk going along the sides, and that was to allow more room for freer movement, so they weren't so constrained. But the quality of the silk work here is absolutely stupendous. It is missing a gold outlining for the silk, which indicates it was probably meant for a female, for a woman, in the monastic court. So it's a lady's robe, in other words. But you can see where they've added in pieces here to construct it. Like here's the part of an apron here that's been added. And here's the part of another apron here. The part that runs along the bottom has been put on the ends of the sleeves. And they would build these robes from imperial silks that were sent to them. And they did them stylistically quite different. And the estimate on it is fairly reasonable for Yongchen silks, 20 to 30,000 pounds. But it was assembled basically in Tibet. All right. And that's it for this 2 sales. There's a lot more in there. You see, Linda Wigglesworth also did a whole section there on some very, very fine rank badges, 2 to 3,000 pound estimates, quite reasonable, top quality. Here's a beautiful first rank crane badge, absolutely lovely in yellow. And they also have some hats and tassels and all kinds of. If you collect this kind of stuff, you want to check it out. Here's a beautiful shufu with rank badges. up on the side there. And there's also, of course, a dragon robe. And then there's this very, very fine blue ground damask silk, an informal robe, or known as a wei tao. And it has this very lovely yellow outer border around it, and beautiful, beautiful. It looks like it's in absolutely stupendous condition. Yeah, 19th century, late 19th century, somewhere in there. But beautiful detailing, nice landscape scene, well spaced, not a lot of grunge, no grunge and dirt around the collar and so forth. And what's the estimate on this? 4,000 to 6,000 pounds, not bad at all. And this one is 2,000 to 3,000 pounds, as I recall. A dragon robe in blue. All right, so that's it. And there's some other sales coming up. There's a very good sale. We also posted the catalog on the Bidamount site. It came out in the last couple of days of the jade auction that they're having in Hong Kong. Very fine jade auction. It's about 30 lots from what I recall. It's worth checking out. And that's about it for today. Have a wonderful week, and I'll be back on Friday with the regular video, and we'll be doing some others as the catalogs become available. And hopefully Bonhams will get the enlargement feature fixed on their website so people can pull in the pictures and to get a good look at things. If you haven't subscribed here, please do. Visit us at bidamount.com and Bidamount Live. We're now selling a site where people can sell things, and it's doing just fine. I'm very happy to say. And subscribe to us here on YouTube. All right. Bye-bye. Have a good week.